Imagine a life where you no longer walk on eggshells, no longer perform for approval, no longer tremble before criticism. Instead, you live with integrity, you speak with kindness, you rest in mindfulness. The winds of the world still blow, but you are like a mountain, unmoved, steady, peaceful. This is the freedom the Buddha pointed to. This is the way to stop caring what people think, forever. Have you ever thought, why do we care so much about what others think? Why does a single word of criticism echo in our minds for days, while 100 words of praise vanish in seconds? Deep down, every human being craves acceptance. We want to belong, to be seen as worthy, to be recognized as good. But when we place our happiness in the hands of other people's opinions, we are no longer free. We become like prisoners, chained to judgments that rise and fall like the wind. This video is not about becoming arrogant or dismissive. It is not about saying, I don't care about anyone. Instead, it is about finding unshakable freedom within yourself, a freedom rooted in the timeless wisdom of the Buddha's teachings. The Buddha said, praise and blame, gain and loss, pleasure and pain, fame and disrepute, these are worldly winds. They blow through the lives of all beings. If you wish to stop caring what people think, truly, deeply, and forever, you must learn how to stand firm while these winds blow. In this video, we will walk step by step through Buddhist insights and practical practices that allow you to live freely, no longer enslaved by the endless chase for approval. Let's start. Why we care so much about opinions. From childhood, we are trained to seek validation, a smile from a parent, a grade from a teacher, applause from a crowd. We slowly learn that our sense of worth depends on how others respond to us. Psychologists call this social conditioning. Buddhists would call it clinging, a form of attachment to self-image. When someone praises us, we feel inflated. When someone criticizes us, we feel deflated. Our mood rises and falls depending on the thoughts in other people's minds, thoughts we cannot even see, let alone control. This is suffering. The Buddha used the word dukkha, unsatisfactoriness, and one of the deepest sources of dukkha is this endless dependence on other people's approval. If you truly want to stop caring, you must first see clearly the trap you are in, the illusion of control. Consider this. Can you ever truly control what people think of you? No matter how kind you are, no matter how generous, no matter how carefully you speak, there will always be someone who misunderstands you, someone who dislikes you for no reason, someone who projects their own pain onto you. The Buddha himself was criticized, insulted, and even falsely accused during his lifetime. If the fully awakened one could not escape criticism, how can we? When you realize that controlling other people's opinions is impossible, a great burden begins to lift. You see that your only true task is not to manipulate their minds, but to liberate your own mind. The 8 worldly winds. To understand how to stop caring, let us return to the teaching of the 8 worldly winds. 1. Gain and loss. 2. Fame and disrepute. 3. Praise and blame. 4. Pleasure and pain. The Buddha explained that these winds blow through every life. They are unavoidable. The wise person does not cling to them because they are impermanent, fleeting, beyond control. When you cling to praise, you will fear blame. When you cling to fame, you will dread obscurity. When you cling to pleasure, you will resist pain. But when you see them for what they are, mere winds, you can stand calmly in the middle, unmoved. The root, attachment to self. Why do we care about opinions? Because we are attached to the idea of me. The Buddha taught Anatta, the doctrine of non-self. This does not mean you don't exist at all. It means that what you call me is not a solid, permanent entity. It is a flowing process. Thoughts, feelings, perceptions, body, all changing moment by moment. When you cling to this self, you want others to see it as special, important, lovable. But once you see that the self is not fixed, not permanent, not ultimate, you stop worrying about defending it. Criticism no longer cuts so deeply because there is no solid me to be wounded. Praise no longer intoxicates you because you know it is directed toward an illusion. This is the profound Buddhist insight. The less tightly you cling to self, the freer you become from the opinions of others. Practical path: how to let go. Philosophy alone is not enough. We need practice. Here are practical Buddhist methods to stop caring what others think. 1. Mindfulness of thoughts. When someone criticizes you, notice what happens in the mind. A thought arises. They think badly of me. I am not good enough. Instead of believing it, observe it as just that, a thought, a passing cloud, not reality itself. In meditation, practice watching thoughts without clinging. Over time, you will see that thoughts, including judgments about yourself, arise and vanish like waves on the ocean. 2. Contemplating impermanence. Every opinion is temporary. Today they admire you, tomorrow they forget you, next week they may criticize you. Reflect deeply. This too will pass. By contemplating impermanence, Anicca, you loosen the grip of praise and blame. 3. Loving kindness, Metta. Often we fear others' opinions because we crave their love. The antidote is to generate love from within. Through the practice of metta bhavana, loving kindness meditation, you send goodwill to yourself, to friends, to strangers, even to those who criticize you. When your heart is full of compassion, the need for approval dissolves. 4. Living by Dharma, not opinions. Ask yourself, am I living by truth, by wisdom, by compassion? If the answer is yes, then external judgments lose their power. The Buddha said, the world may blame the good and praise the unwholesome, but the wise do not depend on the world's judgment. They know the Dharma as their guide. When you align your life with Dharma, you gain an inner compass that is far more reliable than the shifting opinions of people. A story: the Buddha and the insulter. One day, a man came to the Buddha and hurled insults at him. The Buddha sat quietly, unmoved. Finally, the man paused. The Buddha asked, if a person offers a gift and the gift is not accepted, to whom does the gift belong? The man replied, to the one who offered it. The Buddha said, then I do not accept your insults. They remain with you. The insulter was humbled and left in silence, having learned a valuable lesson about the nature of anger and acceptance. This story illustrates the deepest freedom. When you no longer take in praise or blame, you cannot be disturbed. Next, we will go even deeper. We will explore how to build unshakable confidence rooted in the Dharma, how to face criticism directly with equanimity, and how to cultivate inner joy that no opinion can touch. Building unshakable confidence. Many people try to stop caring about others' opinions by becoming hard, defensive, or even arrogant. But in Buddhism, true confidence doesn't come from rejecting others. It comes from knowing yourself clearly. The Buddha taught that true confidence arises when you live in harmony with sila, ethics, samadhi, concentration, and panya, wisdom. When your actions are guided by kindness and integrity, you naturally feel light. You no longer fear being exposed because there is nothing to hide. When your mind is steady, you no longer chase approval. When your wisdom deepens, you see through the illusion of reputation. This kind of confidence cannot be shaken by gossip, criticism, or praise. It is like a tree with roots deep in the earth. No storm can uproot it. Facing criticism directly. Even if you train your mind, criticism will still come. What should you do when it does? 1. Pause before reacting. When harsh words strike, the mind instantly wants to defend itself. But if you pause just for a breath, you create space between stimulus and response. In that space, you choose freedom instead of reactivity. 2. Examine the criticism calmly. Ask yourself, is there truth here? If yes, accept it with humility. Let it become a teacher. If no, let it pass like the Buddha with the gift of insults. 3. Remember the source. Often, people's judgments reflect their own pain, not your reality. A bitter mind speaks bitter words. Seeing this clearly allows compassion instead of anger. Practice equanimity. Equanimity, upekkha, is the calm balance that arises when you no longer grasp at praise or resist blame. Train your heart in equanimity. Meditation. Silently repeat, all beings are owners of their actions. I cannot control the thoughts of others. 5. Fame and disrepute. One of the greatest fears is losing reputation. We worry, what will people think if I fail? What if they see my weakness? The Buddha warned that fame and disrepute are just as fleeting as praise and blame. Even kings and emperors who once ruled the earth are now forgotten. Ask yourself, 100 years from now, who will remember me? Most likely, no one. So why sacrifice inner peace for the temporary theater of reputation? True dignity comes not from being admired, but from walking the path of truth. 6. The freedom of not performing. When you care too much about opinions, life becomes a performance. You wear masks, you speak to impress, you act to gain approval. This constant acting is exhausting. It robs you of authenticity. But when you let go, you can finally live naturally, simply, without fear. You laugh when you laugh. You cry when you cry. You are no longer split between who you are and who you think others want you to be. This authenticity is not only peaceful, it is magnetic. People feel drawn to those who are real, not those who are desperate to impress. 7. The joy of inner refuge. The Buddha encouraged his disciples to take refuge not in the opinions of others, but in the 3 jewels. 1. The Buddha, the awakened example. 2. The Dhamma, the timeless truth. 3. The Sangha, the noble community. When you take true refuge, you no longer rely on fragile social approval. You rely on wisdom, compassion, and truth. In meditation, remind yourself, I take refuge in the Dhamma, not in the shifting opinions of the world. This affirmation plants seeds of deep trust in your heart. Practical exercises for daily life. To integrate this teaching into your daily life, try these practices. 1. The mirror exercise. Each morning, look into the mirror and silently repeat, I am not here to perform, I am here to live in truth. May I be kind, may I be wise, may I be free. This resets your compass away from others' opinions and back toward your own integrity. 2. The criticism journal. When you feel wounded by someone's opinion, write it down, then ask, is it true? Is it permanent? Does it define me? Will it matter in 10 years? Often you will see how flimsy the criticism really is. 3. Silent sitting with praise and blame. In meditation, bring to mind a memory of being praised. Feel the warmth, then release it. Next, bring to mind a memory of being criticized. Feel the sting, then release it. Train the mind to let go of both equally. 4. Serving others. Quietly do good deeds without announcing them. Help someone anonymously. When you learn to act without seeking recognition, the grip of opinions weakens. A deeper reflection, death and opinions. There is a meditation in Buddhism called Maranasati, mindfulness of death. Reflect, one day you will die. On that day, will the opinions of others save you? Will their praise or criticism matter? At the moment of death, only the state of your heart matters. Were you kind? Did you cultivate wisdom? Did you live with compassion? Remembering death cuts through the illusion of social approval. It brings you back to what truly matters. A story, The Monk and the Robbers. There is a story of a monk walking through the forest. He was stopped by robbers who mocked him and insulted him, but the monk remained calm. One robber asked, "Why don't you react? Don't our words hurt you?" The monk replied, "When someone hands you a burning coal, you do not take it in your bare hand. Why should I accept your anger into my heart?" This story reminds us you always have the choice to accept or not accept the judgments of others. Living beyond opinions. To stop caring what people think does not mean you ignore kindness or wisdom from others. It means you are no longer enslaved by it. When someone praises you, you smile but remain grounded. When someone criticizes you, you listen calmly but remain centered. This balance is the essence of Buddhist practice. Not running toward, not running away, just walking the middle path. Living the middle path. The Buddha often emphasized the middle path, not falling into extremes. When it comes to caring about what others think, the extremes are: on one side, obsession with approval, constantly worrying, performing and bending yourself to please others. On the other side, indifference or arrogance, rejecting others completely, becoming cold, closed and dismissive. Neither extreme leads to peace. The middle path is caring with wisdom. You act with kindness, you listen when feedback is useful, but your happiness is not tied to the shifting winds of reputation. This balance allows you to walk in the world with an open heart, but with a steady mind. A story. The Farmer's Horse. There is a famous parable often told in Buddhist circles. An old farmer lived with his son. One day, his only horse ran away. His neighbors came to console him, saying, "What terrible luck." The farmer simply replied, "Good luck, bad luck, who knows?" A week later, the horse returned, bringing with it a herd of wild horses. The neighbors came over exclaiming, "What amazing luck!" The farmer again said, "Good luck, bad luck, who knows?" The farmer's son tried to tame one of the wild horses, but was thrown off and broke his leg. The neighbors rushed to offer their sympathy, saying, "What a disaster!" The farmer calmly responded, "Good luck, bad luck, who knows?" Soon after, a war broke out, and the emperor's army came to the village, conscripting every able-bodied young man. The farmer's son was spared because of his broken leg. The neighbors once more came to congratulate the farmer, saying, "What incredible luck!" The farmer just smiled and said, "Good luck, bad luck, who knows?" This story teaches us that the judgments of people, good or bad, are unreliable. What seems like praise today may lead to suffering tomorrow. What seems like blame today may open the door to blessings tomorrow. The wise person does not cling to either, transforming fear into compassion. Another root of worrying about opinions is fear. Fear of rejection, fear of being alone, fear of not being enough. Buddhism does not tell us to push fear away. Instead, it teaches us to transform fear into compassion. When you feel the fear of judgment arise, pause and send loving kindness to yourself. May I be safe. May I be free from fear. May I be at peace. Then extend that compassion outward. Just as I fear being judged, others also carry the same fear. May all beings be free from this suffering. In that moment, you are no longer trapped in the small bubble of self. Your heart opens wider, and in that openness, opinions lose their hold on you. The practice of right speech. One reason we suffer from opinions is because we get caught in the web of words. People speak, we react, then we reply, and the cycle goes on. The Buddha advised us to practice right speech. Speak only what is true. Speak what is beneficial. Speak gently with kindness, and speak at the right time. When you live this way, you no longer get bound by the noise of the world. Your words become steady, clear, and compassionate. You know that you are planting good seeds, no matter how others may judge them. The parable of the empty boat. A Zen story inspired by Buddhist wisdom tells of a man rowing across a river. In the distance, he noticed another boat heading straight toward him. He shouted, "Move aside, watch out!" But the boat kept drifting forward, directly in his path. A knot of frustration grew in his chest, and he shouted again, even louder. Still, the boat continued to come closer. Finally, the boat collided with his. To his surprise, it was completely empty. It had simply broken loose and drifted downstream without direction. In that instant, his anger disappeared. It dissolved as quickly as it had come, leaving behind a deep sense of peace. This story reminds us that when we see people's opinions as empty boats, driven by their own karma, conditions and pain, we stop taking them so personally. Just as the boat was empty, criticism is often not really about us. It reflects the other person's suffering. Developing inner joy. The deepest way to stop worrying about what others think is to discover joy that does not depend on them. The Buddha spoke of PT, a radiant joy that rises from meditation, from inner stillness, and from finding contentment in simplicity. When you experience this inner joy, you no longer rely on the sweetness of praise or the sting of blame. You carry your own wellspring of happiness. Like a lotus blooming untouched by the mud, your heart stays pure in the midst of the world's noise, living by your own light. In his final words before entering parinirvana, the Buddha said, "Be a lamp unto yourselves. Take refuge in the Dhamma, not in anything else." This is the essence of freedom from opinions. To be a lamp unto yourself means to live guided by wisdom, not by the changing shadows of reputation. When you practice mindfulness, live with compassion, and release self-clinging, you begin to shine with your own inner light. The opinions of others are like passing clouds. Your light remains. A meditation to release opinions. Let us try a simple meditation you can practice each day. Sit quietly. Breathe in a natural rhythm. Bring to mind an opinion that has been troubling you. Notice the tightness it creates in your body. Silently say to yourself, "This is only a thought. This is not who I am." Visualize that opinion as a leaf floating gently on a stream, drifting away. Then bring to mind a praise you once received. Feel its warmth. Silently repeat, "This too is only a thought. This too will pass." See it floating away as well. Rest in the quiet space that remains, free from both praise and blame. With regular practice, the mind learns to let go with ease. To stop caring about what others think does not mean being careless. It means being free. Free from the prison of approval, free from the fear of rejection, free to live guided by wisdom and compassion. Always remember, opinions are like winds. They come and they go. The self that others judge is only an illusion, always changing, never fixed. True peace comes from walking the path of mindfulness, ethics, and wisdom. The Buddha's teaching is not just philosophy. It is a living path. With every mindful step, with every act of compassion, you loosen the hold of others' opinions. You return to your true refuge, the Dhamma, the stillness of the awakened heart. If this teaching has touched you, I invite you to carry it into your daily life. Sit quietly, reflect often, practice letting go, and as you continue on this path, may you discover the deep freedom of not needing to be anyone other than who you truly are. Thank you for being here. If you found value in this teaching, please like this video, share it with others, so more people can experience the peace of the Dharma.